All right, so today's sermon is about youthful friendships, but it can still be applied just to friendships in general. And this will be interactive, just make sure that everyone's involved. So if I ask you a question, do not be afraid to, say, shout, raise your hand. It's okay. We're all friends here, right? Right? You see? Love the energy. Love it. All right. But before I begin, I'd like to thank my mom for asking me to do this. So thank you, Mom. All right. So friendships. I'm going to be talking about how you can form and pick the right ones. In the Bible, God said man should not be alone. Though it was talking in a romantic sense, it still applies platonically. Humans are created with companionship in mind, and one of the first ones most of us form are friendships. But now the question lies, are you building true bonds, or are you just having casual friendships? Let's dive into it a little bit. To start off, how would one start a friendship? How would you approach someone to be a friend?
Be friendly.
Be friendly? Okay, that's one. Smile.
Where are you from?
Where are you from? Good. All good ones, all good ones. You initiate the conversation, you start talking, and when you start talking to them, you try to see if you can find a common interest, right? Because, it's a lot harder to be friends with someone if there's no common interest whatsoever, am I right? Because sometimes you might know someone who likes football. Who likes football in here? Okay, I know there's a lot more people in here who like football, and they're just lying. Who likes football? Okay, thank you for being honest. I appreciate it. Sometimes, you might meet someone in the same work department that you're in, and you can bond over that, because it always starts with a common interest. Now, and once you find that common interest, you start talking to them, you start hanging out with them more and more to see if you can gel well together, right? Right, good. So after, you're done talking to them, hanging out with them a bit, you gotta start weeding out to see if this person will be good for you. Because you can gel really well with someone, but they might not be a good fit for you as a friend. Does that happen to you guys? Does that happen to you guys? There you go, see? Keep up the energy, And that's what I'm going to talk about, because I have two examples, things that have happened to me personally about friendships where I have had friends that I thought were friends. I can still say they are friends, but they're more casual friends, They're not friends that I could say are like true, meaningful friends, So the first friend I have is my very close friend, Johnny. I met Johnny back in my freshman year of high school. We met through a mutual friend of ours, and for a while, I didn't really talk to him because, I had my other friends at the time, but slowly but surely, I started talking to Johnny more and more and more, and we had a lot in common, which helped a lot, but in that as well, he was someone I could confide in. He was someone I can actually talk to, who I can bare my heart to without being ridiculed, who won't make fun of me for it, And, we started hanging out more and more, hanging out during class, lunch, after school, to the point where basically every day that he was at school, we would be hanging out in my dorm room at some point during the day, And it is good to have those type of friendships because with Johnny, I'm able to laugh with him. I'm able to cry with him. I am able to argue with him and still love him the next day. He is so close to a friend to me. He is like a brother, just like in Proverbs 18:24. One who has unrivaled friends soon come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Does anyone have a friend that they can say that about? Okay, that's good. And now my other friend, John, I was close to him when I was a kid. He was my childhood friend. I met John after, I believe I was about to be grounded in some capacity because I was being a kid. I was being dumb, you know. And when I was being walked inside, John's father saw me, and he had had John there. He's like, hey, those two kids look the same age. Do you mind if they hang out? And my mom said, sure, why not? Couldn't hurt. And I was really close with John. We hit it off. We had a lot in common, had a lot of interests, but I couldn't really confide in John much. I could talk to him about things, but only surface level. I couldn't talk to him about deep things. I couldn't talk to him about things that were bothering me. And he also didn't talk to me like that either, It wasn't just a one-way street. We were just fine being friends, just casual friends. And that's okay. Having casual friends are good. It's good to have casual friends, But we grew apart, He moved, but we stopped talking years before he moved. And that sucked. But I still hope and wish for him the best. But that shows that sometimes just friendships just don't work out, even though that you think that you're close, right? Has anyone here had a friendship that just did not work out? But you still wish the best for them, yes? Of course, yes. So in that as well, when you are trying to pick out your friends, and how I was able to pick out Johnny as a very close friend for a brother, while John was more a casual friend, is pushback. Actually, I have my friend here right now. Eric, can you please come up real quick? I'm gonna need you real quick as an example. Sorry for putting you on the spot here. Okay, so friendships, hold your hand, should be like this. There should be push, and there should be back. Friendship should never just be one push or one back, okay? So. Because if a friendship is just one way, one push or one back, it never ends well, Because if you're pushing, and you're not receiving anything, you're not giving anything back, it feels bad, right? Yes. It feels bad spending all your energy on this person when they don't care. They don't want to get deeper with you. They just want to be surface level. They want to be safe. Because dealing with emotions is hard. It's icky, right? Or dealing with emotions easy? No. Is dealing with emotions easy? No. Okay, that's good. That's better. Because it's not. Dealing with emotions is hard. And there are only some people that we will feel comfortable with letting those people see that, seeing the more vulnerable half of you, But then there's also the back, if you're getting a lot of pushback, where your friend could be draining you, so to speak. Does anyone here has a friend or had a friend that, drains them a lot when talking to them, hanging out with them from time to time? Yeah, okay, good. Thank you for the honesty. I appreciate it. Because it is good to have friends that drain you, from time to time, It's, because, we're social creatures, so we're going to get drained eventually. So, it's better to be drained by a close friend than it is to be drained by strangers, So, but there are friends that drain too much out of you. There are friends that you're like, oh, I love this person, but I'm gonna hang out with you once a year. Because that's how much my body can just take being around you, It should not be a power imbalance between that. It should be a perfect push and pull. It should be balanced, so to speak. And on that same train of thought, friendships, you also need to be able to meet the needs of your friends. And they should be able to meet the needs of you. And what does that mean? Mean the needs of people. It could be, hey, I need $20. Can I borrow $20? Yeah, sure, here, $20, easy. Don't have to pay me back. It is what it is. It could be like that, very transactional, very physical, transactional like that. But it is better to have that type of needs being met of mental, where you're able to talk with your friends about your mental health. Emotional, it should be, your friends should be able to meet the needs of you, and you should be able to meet the needs of them, because, just like the opening Bible verse, Ecclesiastics, let me bring it up myself actually real quick. Ecclesiastics 4, verses 9 through 10, two are better than one because they have good return for their labor. If one of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Because as well, your friends should be building you up, yes? Yes? Your friendships should be elevating you to be better, correct? Do you want to be better? Yes. And how do you be better? Growth, yes. You want to be around people that want to grow with you, yes? Because what happens when you're with someone who stagnates, who does not want to grow, who wants to just, it's okay. You know what? I'm okay here, and this is what is always going to be. What happens to you? I heard it. One more time. You outgrow them, yes. And then it becomes, do I need this friend? And you don't want that, right? You always want your friends to be like, yeah, I'm with you thick and through, always, You don't want to outgrow your friends. You don't want your friends to become stagnant because you want better for them, yes? And they should want better for you, yes? Exactly. So that's why friendships are very important, and picking the right ones are important. Because if you do not pick the right ones, you might stagnate, and you might fall down, and you might not have someone to help pick you up. Do you want someone to help pick you up? Yes. Do you want someone to help pick you up? Yes. Love it. Love the energy here, okay? So, and that's also in the same kind of track. To be friends with someone, you got to be honest with them, yes? Yes. Okay. And I guess this is more towards young people. It could, apply to some of the older people here. But has anyone here been maybe embarrassed to say, hey, I am a Christian as well? It's like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm yada, yada, yada. But I don't know if I want to mention that I'm Christian because I might lose this friendship. Has anyone ever experienced that? And it's okay to be honest, okay? Because I was like that too. So has that happened to anyone? Okay. And I wish I could say this, okay, it's not. Because your friends should not be feeling uncomfortable with you for loving Jesus, for being a Christian. Because a friend should be able to say, you know what? That's good. Even if they're not Christian themselves, be like, all right, that's good. I'm glad that you're Christian because you are still you. You are probably you because you are a Christian. They should be happy for you that you're a Christian. They should not be, Christian. Actually, I think I got a thing at like 2, so I'm gonna bounce. Your friends should not be embarrassed. You should not be embarrassed to be yourself. You should not be embarrassed to be Christian. And your friends should not be embarrassed that you are Christian. Yes? All right. That's good. So, give me some water. Sorry. So, I'm going to be reading some excerpts. I'm going to be reading some verses from the Bible about friendship, actually specifically stories about some of my favorite ones. One of them, first one, is David and Jonathan. Now, who knows the story about David? David and Goliath, David and Saul, everyone here should be saying yes. Okay, but who knows about Jonathan? Yeah, a lot of people know about Jonathan, Saul's son. Saul's son. All right, so imagine this. All right, you're David. You went from shepherd boy to hero, you slayed Goliath, Saul appointed you to lead armies, and people are singing and praising your name. You're like, you know what, I feel pretty good about myself, No, that would feel good, right? But then, the man that, helped you get to this position gets a little irritated that, you're gaining a lot of influence, so plots to kill you, casual things. And Jonathan is kind of caught between the two, with David being a close friend and Saul being his father, And you would think, I think I would think that, Jonathan would choose to go with Saul. But surprisingly enough, he does not. He sticks with David throughout the entire thing. He says, hey, if my father is trying to kill you, I would warn you because I love you. Those two men were so close, they were practically brothers. Let me read you Samuel 18, verses 1 through 3. After David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. From that day, Saul kept David with him and did not let him return to his family. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Okay, so a lot of old English words there, so I'm going to translate a little bit. Does anyone know what covenant means? Yeah, contract. That's good. I heard contract. Yeah, it's like making like a pact with someone, Making a pact with someone. Okay, and Jonathan made a pact with David, to be basically one spirit. What does that mean? What would you think being one spirit means? Like-minded, yes. They were basically linked. They were entwined together, They were so close, in fact, that after Jonathan and Saul perished, David grieved him so hard, he wrote a poem in their name. Wouldn't you want a friend that would do that for you? Yes. When David found out that Jonathan's son was alive, do you know what he did? He searched for him. He searched day and night to make sure that his best friend's son was safe. Wouldn't you want a friend to do that for you? Yes. Don't you want a friend like David? Don't you want a friend like Jonathan? Next story I have here is of Ruth and Naomi. And Ruth and Naomi, it starts off with tragedy. Naomi loses her husband, she loses both of her sons, and she just feels distraught. She feels like the only way she can properly go on is just to move back to her hometown. And she tells both of her daughter-in-laws, just go, be happy, remarry here, and you'll be happy. But Ruth disagreed. And no matter how much Naomi would try to push Ruth away, Ruth would stay right there. Let me read you another excerpt. Let me read you Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 through 17. But Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you or to turn your back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you from me. Don't you want a friend that will stick with you even when you're at your lowest point, even when you try to push them away? Don't you want a friend like that? Your friends should be like that. We should be striving to have friendships like David and Jonathan, like Ruth and Naomi. But it's hard in this digital age. It is hard to have those type of friendships when so much stuff now just feels artificial. It feels, at least for me, it feels harder to form meaningful connections than it did when I was younger, when technology was still kind of on the rise a little bit. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So, how? How do we push past all the artificialness? As I said before, picking the right friends and all that stuff, that's good and all, but we got to remember that we also need Jesus' help. Because Jesus is also our friend, yes? Yes. Jesus is also our friend, yes? Yes. And he wants what's best for us. So he will bring people in your life who will try to elevate you, to try to bring you to a better place, to bring you closer to him, yes?
Yes.
And we should also be treating Jesus like he is our friend too. We should be confiding in him. We should be pouring our hearts out to him. We should be being vulnerable to him, yes? Yes. But it can be hard. And I can admit, I do find it sometimes to be hard to be friends with Jesus, because how can you be friends with someone who is the sovereign of the universe? That is just a crazy thing to think about, yeah? But he is our friend, and it gets easier and easier when you start talking to Jesus like he is your friend. You start off a little, say, hey, God, Jesus, my day was like this, yada, 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 and it starts off quick, right? But the more you talk to him, you feel like you can talk more and more. So maybe your daily worship in the mornings go from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 30 minutes. And that's good, because you are becoming friends with God. And if you become friends with him, you are able to pick out great friendships. Find people that will elevate you, who will want you to do better. Amen. Because, to bring it all back, your friends should want you to do better. And you should want your friends to do better too. Because, like I said, it's okay to have casual friendships. There's nothing wrong with that. But you must seek more than just casual friendships. You must seek having brothers, having sisters. Thank you. That is about all I have for you guys for today. So let's bow our heads for prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for coming to die for us. Thank you for the written word of the Bible, so we can see examples of what true friendship looks like, so we can apply it in our lives. Thank you so much for loving us. And all glory back to you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.